How's it going, guys? It's Poetry Son, and welcome to a quick little video I decided I wanted to do on Civilization 6. Almost a review, not quite though. I'm going to be giving my first thoughts on Civ 6. I've been playing it for, it's been out for 48 hours-ish, a little under that. But I've been playing some multiplayer with people on my Twitch channel. But I've also been playing on my own time. Let me go and turn the volume down a little bit, the game volume down for you guys. There we go. But I've been playing a good bit of it, and it's pretty fun. And I wanted to give my thoughts on it though, from try to be objective and give my thoughts on it from like a review standpoint. Do I think it's better than Civ 5? What does it change? And give you guys a preview of content. So let's go ahead and hop into a game I had going on. This is gonna hopefully be a fairly short video, but I will say before, yeah, okay, yes, game. Alright, well, it should load soon. I don't want to have to speak over them, though. Okay, well then, sorry about that, guys. We should be back now. I decided I'm going to cut that out because that was annoying. I had to wait for it to load. It does take a little bit of a while to load. But anyway, so let's go ahead and talk about Civ 6 while we can look at the map and stuff. So let's go ahead and talk about this. So this is fairly early on, obviously. I only have one city, but this is not the farthest I've gotten. I've gotten to the medieval age, and obviously that's still not that far, but I have experienced quite a bit of the game, I would say, and I just want to give my thoughts on it. Maybe I'll do another review when I have a little bit more time into it even, but for now, I just want to give my first thoughts on it after release, and my initial thoughts on it, and we'll see if those change later on, possibly. Anyway, so I decided first we'd go ahead and start talking about the differences between Civ 5 and 6. Since Civ 5 is the only one I've played, really, besides this one, and Civilization Revolution on the Xbox, but still, that doesn't really count. Anyway, so first off, you might notice there's this hexagonal tiles and stuff. There's a lot of similarities. The resources are all pretty much the same. System in general, and I really only am going to touch on some of the major differences. So one thing that's really cool about Civ 6 is that instead of having all your buildings, and you probably know this if you've been keeping up with it, but one thing that is different is that instead of having all of the buildings be inside of your city, you actually have these districts, they're called, and you can actually see districts. Every city has only a certain amount of districts available with certain amounts of population, and eventually you can get more. But yeah, you have these districts, and I built, for instance, a holy site where I created right over here, I built this holy site that gives us faith. And basically then you can build more buildings on that. We also have a campus. We could build this campus that would give us science, and if I were to do that, I'd probably do it here where there's more adjacency bonuses from me next to the mountains and stuff. So there's cool stuff like that. I don't know why I'm clicking that. So the districts are a really cool system, and I think that it's a great change from Civ 5 because it really makes you think about where you're building cities. Instead of, like Civ 5, by the mid to late game, I'd say, you just start clicking through every single city on your turn and be like, okay, we'll just build this. I see you have this, you don't have this, just build this. You wouldn't really get attached to it necessarily. I think that's really a good change, and I believe there's like someone in our multiplayer group said there's like 9 or 10 different possible districts, and you have to choose where you want to build them, which order you want to build them in, where you want to build them on the map, and it's really, really fascinating, and I really like it. Including, it also has a large impact on where you put your military spawn points, essentially, and I really like that. There's a lot of similarities in this bar over here with production. I'm not going to talk about this too much because lots of it's pretty similar. The amenities and the way happiness works is a little bit different, but it's essentially the same, where you try to get luxury resources. So that's all pretty good. But yeah, districts is one of the most major changes, I would say, to how cities work and how your internal stuff happens. I think it's a really cool change. And it's pretty cool. Another big change dealing with cities and stuff is workers. Workers are no longer actually a infinitely reusable resource. Essentially, they're called builders, but builders can construct tile improvements, but they can't. They can only be used 3 times. They can only do 3 improvements. That includes removing stuff like woods and rainforest and marsh. But anyway, so the workers can only be used 3 times, and I've heard some conflicting opinions on this. Apocalyptic, one of my gamer buddies, if you didn't know, he actually doesn't like it. He says that he likes to have the workers around for good and use them over and over again. But I kind of like it because it makes it so that you have to be building builders constantly, although they're a little bit cheaper now, I think, as well as the trade-off. And they're not as necessary. And what I mean by that is that roads are actually built by traders now, not by builders. And military engineers can also build roads. But yeah, the builders don't have to build roads anymore. Otherwise, it'd be unfeasible to have that system work where the builders are only used for that stuff. So you have to build builders if you want to use the stuff. And I find it interesting because it's something you have to kind of balance along with everything else. You have to, when do you want to be building other stuff? When do you want to be building builder? And then maybe you'll take a break from one building so that you can go ahead and build a builder and make sure to keep up to date with that. And that also has to do with the housing now, which again, I don't want to get into too much detail, but the housing also, there's a housing limit for how many people you can have in your city, and that is dependent on farms and other buildings that are can be built by the builders. So you kind of got to balance things out, and I really like that. I think it's a good change. One of the other, I just to let you guys know, I wrote down some of the changes I thought that were the most major, and I split them into 2 groups. So right now we're talking about the ones that I think really affect gameplay, and then we're going to talk about some other stuff that people like or don't like. So another thing was technology has been changed up quite a bit. In Civ 5, there was only one tech tree, and that was everything. Your tech tree was everything, basically. However, now you actually have 2 different tech trees, actually. You have this technology tree. This is like your actual physical, tangible technology tree, which is pretty similar to Civ 5's for the most part. Like, pottery, animal husbandry, mining. Then you also have astrology and sailing now, which is a little different. But then archery, and then riding, and then and then currency, horseback riding. It's all fairly similar. And the game crashed. That's strange. Or maybe I accidentally hit the exit button. But okay, I'll see you guys in just a second again. Sorry about that. Okay, guys, sorry about that again. I don't know why I'm having so many issues today. But anyways, regardless, we were talking about technology. So one of the main things with technology is that now the technology has actually been split into 2 different trees. You have the regular technology tree, but you also have this tree, the civics tree. And the civics tree is stuff that deals with culture. Well, it's like a research tree that uses culture as the research points, though. So it's a bit different. So you can have, be in the medieval era for, the civics tree, but then be in the, the ancient era and the normal science tree, and I would hope that's not the case. But either way, you have the ability to have these 2 different trees, and this one deals with these policies, and the policies can be found here. There's nice little bonuses that you can like swap out, and it's really cool. It's a really cool system, but the technology system in general seems to be really cool. Another part of it is this thing called the Eureka system. Basically, you can boost the trade of a technology, boost the speed of a technology, of a research time on something by doing a certain like mini quest almost, like this, irrigation. It'll cut the research time by half if you farm a resource. Just build any farm anywhere, and you can get a half research speed bonus. That's pretty crazy, And so it gives you these like sort of little goals that you can go by to actually do things a little bit quicker, and also give you something to work towards early on, which I really like. I think it's a great way to use things. There's also some things with great people. Great people is a whole another system I'm not going to get into, but certain great scientists like trigger certain eurekas. They don't actually just give you flat tech anymore. Some do, I believe, but for the most part, they actually will just they'll just give you eureka moments and like basically cut down the tech times for a lot of techs at once, which does the same eventual purpose and stuff, and it is actually, in my opinion, even a little cooler. But anyway, so that's the tech system. I think that's another major change to the game that you should keep in mind when you're coming into Civ 6. And the last thing is wars and CBs. No longer are you really able to just declare wars out of nowhere. The only exception is in the Ancient Age. If you're in the Ancient Age, you can declare these surprise wars. But in any other age past this, the warmonger penalty starts to get a lot higher. And basically, you have to get these CBs, Casus Bellis, like in EU4 almost. And to do that, I believe there's a later on in the game. I actually haven't even gotten to this point, but I know about it because my friend Jack was telling me about it. But later on in the game, I believe later on in the Civics tree, you get access to these Casus Belli, which is pretty cool, and I think is a cool little thing. Let's see, where would it be? Honestly, I don't know. But yeah, you get these. Oh, here it is. Yes, diplomatic service. You get the ability to declare holy wars, declare liberation wars, declare reconquest wars, and protectorate wars. So anyway, so there's some cool. There's some cool Casus Bellis now that you have, where if you don't want to have warmongering penalties. However, you can still just declare a surprise war if you don't mind that. And I believe also if you denounce someone, then you can declare war on them after 5 turns, and you won't actually have you won't actually be forced to have a warmonger penalty, I believe. So anyway, so there's a lot of cool things with that, and that's another big change. I also want to mention some smaller tech change. It's not tech changes. Some smaller changes to the game, but those are all the major ones. So just keep those in mind. But those are the most major ones, in my opinion, at least. There's plenty of other changes, but I also wanted to mention some stuff that people have been divided over. The art style is one. The art style seems to be a fairly divisive issue, but I think that most people like it, and I personally love the art style. I at first was a little doubtful of it, but I kind of have gotten into it more, I think, as I've gone on, and I really like it now, especially with the way that the map kind of like covers up territory that you can't see currently, so it's old. It's like an old, outdated, intel and stuff. I kind of like that. I really like the way that the art style looks, and I think it looks good once you get used to it, especially. The options. There's not a ton of options in the game right now. Obviously, there's a lot of modding capabilities, and they geared the game heavily towards that. But there's not a whole ton of like options for map types and multiplayer options. There's not a whole bunch of options there. And I'm sure they're going to expand upon that with patches and DLC as well. And lastly, multiplayer. Multiplayer actually has been really good. We played like 8 hours or 7 hours of multiplayer last night on my Twitch channel, and it went fairly well. We actually never had any major problems. A couple times, like 3 or 4 times, people disconnected, like their game crashed, and they had to rejoin. However, they were able to resync and had no issues doing that. Near the end of it, we started getting fairly frequent desyncing issues. Like every turn, everyone else would have to desync, and apparently, I haven't seen this because I was the host, but apparently when you desync, it shows you like a long list of text that you don't care about of everything you've done in the game, but I'm sure they'll hopefully fix that too. But mainly though, yeah, there's the multiplayer's been fairly stable. It's really stable, a lot easier to disconnect, reconnect, hot join. It won't like break the game like it used to do in Civ 5. When you save games and continue, it seems to work just fine. It doesn't actually break the saves like it used to in Civ 5, and that's all really cool. So overall, those are some of the major changes to the game. I personally really like the game so far from my first experiences with it. I know I'm going to be playing a lot of it in the next couple of weeks. So hopefully you guys enjoyed if you played it. Hopefully this will help inform you if you wanted to buy it or not. If you'd want to see me do a series of Civ 6, I was kind of doubting doing that anyone would want to see one. But if you want to see one, tell me in the comments. If you want to see me maybe just do some guides on Civ 6 or some reviews of Civ 6, just tell me, and but either way, thank you guys for watching. Go leave a like and subscribe for more. It's been good. I think it's a good game. I would recommend it, and I give it a thumbs up. And that's, I don't really use like out of 10 ranking systems, but I give it a thumbs up, a big solid thumbs up. So either way, thank you guys for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next episode of whatever I do. Goodbye.